your dad, who has propelled the role of women in politics and across the board in business and healthcare. So, I'm going to have some women over the next few weeks that are going to be fascinating. And in this hour, we're waiting for our regular contributor, Diallo Brooks. He's a little bit detained. So when he comes, I'm going to let you have a wonderful conversation with him because he told me there were some things in the news he wanted to discuss with you.
I'm thinking, Gina, that when I think about the contribution that women make, that too often they've been in the shadows. And, but in the moments that they have surged forward, they gave men the courage to fight even harder and very stronger, as if a certain level of passivity was overcome by their direct, aggressive willingness to confront evil. Gina, you've spent some time in Chicago, but you've also spent some time in Gary and in our movements across the country. Recently, having graduated from Princeton Theological Seminary, Black womanist theology actually propels women leaders to a different place.
Absolutely. When you have faith as the foundation, and as I've heard you discussing all week with all of you, that allows us to move forward. And it is the same message. If we look at the message of Jesse Jackson, Reverend Jesse Jackson, keep hope alive. I am somebody comes before that. And so when you think about I am somebody, that sets a precedent so that the faith can move you along into keeping hope alive, because hope breeds faith and faith does not disappoint.
Keena, you raised two daughters. And what do you instill in them as a mother to propel their own families when in fact they do have them?
Well, they're a little far from that for me, but when they do, I hope that they have gleaned from the people who were in their life, and one being my mom for sure. And that is a person who is a go-getter, that there is nothing you can't achieve, that your woman-esque qualities provide you with the nurturing for a project, not just for children, provide you with the vision of what you want something to become, to grow into. And those are just some things that I love about, one, being a mother, and two, being a woman, because I believe that's the other side of God, that in God is both male and the female presence that allows things to be established and allows them to grow.
Masculine and feminine spirit
Absolutely.
energy in some kind of creative synthesis.
Absolutely.
Are there particular women in history who have been inspirational to you, whose stories inspired you, Gina?
Well, I did just mention my mom, and I witnessed a lot of her story. There was a lot of her story that she didn't talk about because she was from a generation, kind of the silent generation. And a lot of people will know what I'm talking about when I say that there's a generation of people who would be in their mid to late 90s. There were certain things that happened, and we can take Tulsa for an example. There are just certain things that were going on in the South and around the whole instance where Tulsa burned that people just never mentioned again. Mm-hmm. And what that does and the toll that it takes on our mental state, our emotional state, our spiritual state is quite a heavy toll. But that's that resilience that I'm talking about that women do bring into the fold.
You know, I think it's interesting that history tends to record far more the activity of women in politics or women who took a stand for social justice movements. I'm thinking in this moment about Fannie Lou Hamer. I'm thinking about Shirley Chisholm. I'm thinking about Sojourner Truth. I'm thinking about Ketanji Brown Jackson and Kamala Harris, Maxine Waters, and others in the social justice space. And history, particularly for Black women, actually records their activity and juxtaposes it against for example, the history of men, far too few women in that space are elevated to the level even of the comparison of the juxtaposition. But the role of women that never make the news, the role of women that never make the historical accounts, the way in which history or his story is actually recorded, is replete with leadership at simply every level of our community's existence, and quite frankly, of the nation's existence, regardless of race or color. Women have been there almost as a little figure on the shoulders of men, constantly piquing their conscience until they themselves were able to step forward and actually be the conscience, not just someone whispering in someone's ear to do what is right. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. When we come forward, it's Fat Meat Fridays with Gina Towns, and our very special guest and a regular contributor, Diallo Brooks, is in the green room. More when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
This March, we're turning up the volume on the women who changed everything. KBLA Talk 1580 is proud to celebrate Women's History Month, honoring the trailblazers, truth tellers, and game changers who shaped our world, our culture, and our community. From the freedom fighters to the firsts, from the boardroom to the front lines, from the unsung to the unforgettable, all month long, we're celebrating the stories, the voices, and the conversations that remind us that women, Black women, have always led the way. Don't miss a moment. This is our moment. This is our story. Stay tuned to KBLA Talk 1580, Los Angeles' home for the conversations that matter.
I'm your girl, you're my girl, we're your girls. Won't you know that we love you?
My son loves to fly kites, but my active psoriatic arthritis can sometimes hold me back. Now with Skyrizi to treat my skin and joints, I'm ready to go. Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults, helps with less joint pain, stiffness, swelling, and fatigue. For those who also have plaque psoriasis, 90% clearer skin is possible with just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
With Skyrizi, there's nothing like clearer skin and better movement, and that means everything. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi today and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZZI to learn more.
Oh, how's that flu, babe? Did you take Dayquil Intense Flu yet?
Nah, I got this. Ugh, okay, I don't got this.
You stay on the couch, and I'll grab the Dayquil.
Undo your flu symptoms with Dayquil Intense Flu. Dayquil Intense Flu provides powerful relief of your flu symptoms. I'm ready for that to-do list.
Wow, you do got this.
Dayquil Intense Flu, the daytime coughing, aching, fever, under your flu medicine. Use as directed, keep out of reach of children.
Are you 50 or older? This news is for you. The CDC recommends you get vaccinated against pneumococcal pneumonia. Even if you're healthy, your age puts you at risk. People 50 or older are over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia compared to adults 18 to 49. Just one shot can help protect you. Learn more and schedule at vaxassist.com. That's VAXassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. Our very special regular contributor and number one advisor on all issues relating to education, Diallo Brooks, joins us. Diallo, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Jesse, thanks for having me.
Diallo, there's a lot going on in the news, and I'm going to pitch it to you. What do you want to talk about today?
Well, if you really look at what's going on in the world today, we've kind of been really hyper focused on the war in Iraq, but I would like to bring it the war in Iraq, but also would like to bring it a little bit closer to home about what's happening on the ground here. We're in the midst of preparing for the midterm elections. And as we have the Epstein file distraction, the distractions around that, the distractions around the war, we also need to make sure that we are really hyper focusing in on understanding who the candidates are that are running in these midterm elections around the country, but also making sure that we are prepared to mobilize our communities to get out the vote as the election season heatens up. And what I want to really hyper focus on as well is making sure our communities are prepared. We've seen in places like Texas where there was allegations of voter suppression tactics that may have been happening in parts of Texas, particularly in Black and brown areas. So we have to make sure that, one, our community knows where their polling locations are, make sure that our communities have access to those polling locations. At the same time, we're pushing back against those systems that look like they're trying to undermine the participation of our communities in these elections. So it's a multi-pronged strategy. And I want folks to really focus on that, because that's how we get out of wars. That's how we move resources to the communities that we need to get those resources to, by participating civically.
With over 25 years of experience in social justice and civil rights, Diallo has been a pivotal figure in promoting policies that foster safe, healthy, and thriving communities. He currently serves as the founder and CEO of Civic Vision Strategies, a strategic consulting firm empowering organizations through transformative leadership development and community engagement strategies. As the former Senior Equity Fellow at the Schott Foundation for Public Education, Diallo bridged the gap between national policymakers and grassroots education justice organizations to advance progressive racial justice policies. Diallo, are you concerned about the turnout in the midterm elections? There's a lot of frustration, a lot of efforts to shift the vote, to make polling places less accessible. Jasmine Crockett complained about it in the state of Texas. I'm wondering, do you expect to see similar action in other major municipalities in our country?
Oh, definitely. I expect to see that. And I'm definitely concerned about that. And oftentimes we turn our attention to it in the last minutes of those elections versus when we have some lead up time. And I think the election in Texas is the canary in the coal mine. How are we prepared as communities to make sure that we're mobilizing for elections, making sure that even as obstacles are put in the way, that we are preparing our community to overcome those obstacles and to participate. We can do all the work to mitigate those obstacles, but oftentimes we forget to do the work around mobilizing no matter what obstacles are in the way. And that is the history of our people, is overcoming obstacles. Every time they set up a roadblock, we step over it, we run through it, we go around it, but we get to the destination that we expect to get to. And we have to lean in, make sure that our communities are prepared, make sure that they have the access to the ballot, make sure that they know where to go, and making sure that they turn out.
You know, one of the concerns that I obviously have in this modern process, and I'm going to talk about it when this season is over. There are two campaigns that are being run in every congressional district in the country, and this is the first time I've ever seen it. I've stood for election 8 or 9 times in the past and have run scores of campaigns over the course of my career. But there are two campaigns. There's the campaign that you actually engage the voter with as a candidate, trying to, of course, convince them to vote for you and consider voting for you. on election day. There is the campaign where you appeal to the local interests and local concerns that matter to the people of a congressional district. And then there is this new campaign that for the first time I am personally experiencing, and I know it's taking place around the country, where the outside influence money comes into the race and essentially defines the race on their terms.
Right.
It's not like it's given to the campaign with the strongest local economic message or a campaign that addresses some of the desperate and desires of people in local communities, like, for example, building hospitals or lowering property taxes, very micro type politics. Here come these big players into the race, and I'm not suggesting one way or the other that even in my own race, I am the beneficiary of the same activity. But of course, it's not it's an independent expenditure. It's not something I control. These are not people that I know. But now the race is about what they say it is. And other people with outside money want to make the race about what's taking place in the Middle East. And then there are other people in the race who want to tell you what the future of currency looks like. But in our area, where there are 3 people for every 1 job in some communities, and on the north side of Chicago, where there are 3 jobs for every 1 person, my campaign has been about the imbalance of the local economy and the local politics. But that's not how this is closing. This is closing on what the big financial players are saying is taking place in Washington. And to that extent, when Tip O'Neill and I think others have said that all politics is local, well, that's true for the first 3 quarters of a political campaign now. All politics are local. But the last quarter of the campaign, it's definitely not local anymore, Diallo. And I know that you've been fighting for some time against Citizens United and all of this activity that has made it possible for this to transform the nation's elections.
Yeah, and it's the unfortunate outcome of the Citizens United Supreme Court decision, and then also subsequently as well, the McCutcheon Supreme Court decision as well. It has flooded these elections with money that typically wouldn't be there. Oftentimes from anonymous places. Oftentimes they're not even connected to necessarily the candidates. They're connected to interests, and they're pushing people around their interests, not necessarily the interests of the communities that are engaging in those elections. And it's an unfortunate side effect from actually our lack of participation in years before this, those Supreme Court decisions. Elections matter. Elections have consequences. Presidential elections have consequences because the presidents and then also subsequently the Senate are the ones who determine who sits on that court, right? And those decisions, instead of being for people, end up being for those corporate or those big, large interests instead of those within the community. And so it is incumbent upon us, not only for those that are running in their individual campaigns, but those that are on the civic engagements side of it, the C3, the 501c3 side, nonpartisan side of this, to mobilize and educate voters around the key issues that are most important to them within their communities. And I think when citizens are informed about elections, when they are informed about their interests and are able to elevate their voices, they're going to make the right choice. They're going to choose the candidate that aligns best with them. But it's overcoming all of this noise that is coming from these third-party organizations and PACs and super PACs that fly into these races because they have an outside interest to push the election one way or another.
And I find that extremely disappointing. We've scraped in our little campaign together every single dollar we could find. People who believed, it was like preaching on Sunday mornings sometime, trying to preach somebody to put something in the basket. Mm-hmm. You get $25, you get $10, you try and do a text message or an email to raise a little money. And then people, they give what they have, they give what they can afford to give if they believe in you. And, You use that money to buy a yard sign. You use that money to hang a door knocker flyer on a door or something. And then these voices that literally can pave the way to victory are suddenly silenced by the massive influx of outside money. Fortunately, in my case, the message that I have articulated for this district has been one about the global economy and the need to bring the global economy to the 2nd Congressional District. And so I'm not shying away from any interests that join my vision to build and bring the global economy to a congressional district that hasn't seen it since Wyman Gordon closed, I think, in 1986. And UPS and other companies are leaving our district because they're locating near airports and runways and places they can get their packages to and from global destinations, which don't exist in the 2nd Congressional District. But the shifting of the message from how I began this campaign on October 8th to where it ends up is perplexing. I mean, it's like, and these are people that I don't even know. But then the media comes to ask you questions about these interests, and you try and work out exactly how these interests may or may not fit into your vision. And then there are other interests that come into the district that say this campaign and your seat isn't about lower property taxes, or it isn't about how to fund schools or how to shift traffic. It's about what's taking place, 13,000 miles away. It's about that. And we're like, no, it's not about that. It's about our local concerns and our local issues and who is going to represent us in Washington, D.C., or in a state legislature, or in a city council. I mean, the gross amount of money that is spent in these campaigns to determine the outcome of an election and to shape the messages of the candidates is something that it leaves a lot to be desired, because it is a profoundly, from my perspective, a profound negative impact on the idea of democracy.
It's definitely a negative impact on on democracy and the idea of elevating the voice of the people, the will of the people. Because in your case and in so many cases around the country, both on local elections and federal elections, these folks are almost anonymous in some ways. We don't even know where this money actually comes from. And so I think it's incumbent upon us, and particularly those not beyond the candidates themselves, those that do nonpartisan civic engagement work, to help break through that noise, break through the noise by educating voters, creating spaces for voters to be able to see all of the candidates on the ballot and make informed decisions as they go to the ballot. But it's also incumbent upon us too to fight back against those structures as well that helicopter in and don't have the best interests of those communities at heart.
It's and to that impossibility, I mean, I don't know how you fight the helicopter in at the last minute, to even be heard, as the candidates in the race. And I'm speaking not just for myself, but, other candidates in the race who are experiencing the same thing. And I can only imagine that in the battle to control the Congress of the United States, this activity is taking place in 435 congressional districts across the country. And I mean, I am concerned that when I get to Congress, if I am fortunate enough to have the privilege and the opportunity to represent the people in the 2nd District, I am deeply concerned that some of the people I will be talking to, it will not be their natural voice, that they will be inauthentic, that the pain of the people in their districts will not be heard, because people are catering to these last quarter interests that show up in the political campaigns and help shape our voices as Americans. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. More with Yellow Brooks. We're concerned about democracy today when we come forward on KBLA.
It's Afternoon Drive Time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Esther Dillard with BIN News Now. New York City's state lawmakers are holding on to the idea of some sort of free buses in New York City, but not as Mayor Zohran Mamdani imagined. New York State Democrats put forth a budget that includes offering at least one free bus in each borough. That has some people doubting if they'll ever see an entirely free bus system.
Money makes the world go round, so if the bus ain't getting paid, who gonna pay the people to drive it?
I don't think we're going to have free MTA buses because they have to support the subway.
According to the New York City Comptroller's Office, about 75% of commuters are people of color. Black Illinois legislator Cam Buckner is proposing a bill that will name a stretch of Chicago's Dan Ryan Expressway after the late civil rights leader, Reverend Jesse Jackson. And Eminem is paying tribute to Lord Sear, a black DJ and hip-hop radio personality who passed away earlier this week. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
LeBron returned to the Lakers lineup Thursday night after a 3-game absence, but the night belonged to Luka Doncic. Doncic went off for 51 points in the Lakers' 142-130 win over Chicago. The 51 is the highest total for Doncic as a Laker. LeBron played 33 minutes after missing the last 3 games with a sore elbow and a bruised hip. He had 18 points, 7 rebounds, and 7 assists. The Lakers have won 4 straight and 7 of their last 8. Thursday's win moved the Lakers up to 3rd place in the Western Conference behind Oklahoma City and San Antonio. The Clippers are back in action tonight against Chicago at the Intuit Dome in Inglewood. The Clippers are going for their 4th straight win. Kawhi Leonard has been playing like an MVP. He's averaging 30.5 points in his last 9 games. Leonard has scored 20 or more in 43 consecutive games. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Warning, evacuation in progress. Leave the building. It's a total takeover. On Friday, March 27th, KBLA Talk 1580 belongs to the women. Are you ready? All day long, from 6 in the morning to midnight, the mic belongs to powerful, accomplished women, and we are not letting go. Nothing but the voices of women who inspire, challenge, and move us forward. It's the women of KBLA Talk 1580, sun up to sundown. I'm Dominique DePrima, and I'll anchor the day with a 3-hour live panel from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. on the state of Black women in LA, followed by women talking to women all day long about the issues that matter most. Our hosts for the day include Jill Monroe, Adrian Shropshire, Dr. Melina Abdullah, Angela Reddick Wright, Raquel Graham, Angelique Francis, Tasha Thomas, Dr. Shalonda Crawford, Dion Raymond, and featuring special guest hosts Santita Jackson and Amanda Seals. This is Women's History Month, and we're not just celebrating it, we're amplifying it. Join us Friday, March 27th on KBLA Talk 1580, where women take over all day, all night. Stay tuned to KBLA Talk 1580 and all of our socials for the rundown. You don't want to miss a single word. And happy Women's History Month from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580.
To my ladies, I'll show you know how to work that. Go.
You are the bomb.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
They say time flies when you're having fun. The founding members cohort is now officially over. Hard to believe. It's been a joy sharing what I've discovered after nearly 40 years of conversations with presidents, cultural icons, and game changers in every field of human endeavor. If you missed the first cohort, the good news is that we're already planning the next one. Now, the seats will be limited, and those on our waiting list will receive exclusive early access and special discounts not available to the general public. So, if you are ready to transform the way you connect, lead, and build trust, do not hesitate. Go to TavishTalks.com and join the waiting list today. That's TavishTalks.com. The next cohort is coming. Make sure you are in the room. I'm Tavish Smiley, and I hope to see you there.
Hi, I'm Dominique DePrima, KBLA Talk 1580 host and African Focus Incorporated cultural ambassador. You probably know by now that every year our two organizations team up to lead a trip to the motherland. This June will be our 8th African Focus Trailblazers Tour, and it's not too late to join us. But if you've been thinking of going with us, now is the time to sign on before prices go up. Our current deadline is March 20th. Join us as we travel to a country widely considered one of Africa's most underrated destinations, Zambia, home to the towering Victoria Falls and the bustling capital city, Lusaka. Enjoy a visit to Botswana, known for its pristine natural beauty and stunning Southern African wildlife. We travel in comfort with luxury accommodations, a variety of fun activities, and delicious dining. We do service with charitable work at a school and an orphanage, and we expand our horizons with cultural and historical excursions. To sign up now before our March 20th deadline, please call African Focus Incorporated at 310-676-7300. That's 310-676-7300. Or check out africanfocus.org. Whether it's in the community or traveling the globe, we move as family. African Focus and KBLA Talk 1580. Let's go.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. King Folly drops the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on Fat Meat Fridays, where our president and CEO of 519 Productions and the creator of the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show, Gina Towns, is our regular contributor. But joining us in this hour is none other than Diallo Brooks, our education advisor. Diallo, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thank you, Jesse.
Diallo, back to these midterms and to this messaging problem that I am now discovering is not unique to the Democratic Party. Now, before I engaged this process as an experiment and experienced it myself, I would say that there are probably some unique messages that would come out of the Democratic Party based upon grassroots initiative, grassroots concerns, resistance to imperialism, resistance to authoritarianism, returning our nation to constitutional democracy, focusing our attention on the idea that we have an administration that's wayward. But I'm telling you, in the last quarter of the campaign, it's a lot less about the obvious anxiety that we're feeling as the American people, and it's a lot more about the messengers with the resources from the outside telling us what our campaigns are supposed to be about. That is foreign to me. Diallo?
Yeah, it's a new terrain if you're running for office on all levels across the country, and particularly as it's concerning as we get into this midterm election. But we've seen it in the past with the past presidential elections, past congressional elections, and so on. Like I said, it's part of it is preparing communities early on to identify the messengers, identify the interests, I do a lot of conversations with folks in different spaces around the country about identifying your issues, identifying the things you care about. So those that are running for office are actually speaking to you versus somebody else telling you what your issues should be or could be, right? And I think that's some of the organizing that has to do. I mean, and I know now it's late for a lot of elections, but as we move forward, that's the kind of fertilizing the soil that has to happen in communities about being conscious about what your real interests are and who speaks to those interests. And also being transparent about where information is coming from. Is information coming from a candidate? Is it coming from this third-party machine that exists? Is it coming from grassroots organizations? And so there's a level of transparency and clarity that we have to create around our elections, because it's really muddying the water as we go forward. But it's the new landscape that we live in.
Diallo, my constituents don't want to hear all that. Me, hemming and hawing, explaining about what an independent expenditure is and that I have no relationship to it. They don't want to hear all that. They want to hear the message that I had before that showed up. Now, in my particular case, because of the economic depression and the desires of my constituents to get out of suffering, which they have endured for decades, maybe even decades before I was born, I've defined my campaign as about a campaign where I want to bring the global economy to the district. So almost anything fits in the global economy that's not inconsistent with that space. So when the outside influence comes in, I can say, oh yeah, we're not running from this economy. Oh yeah, no, we need to be on the forefront of this because we can't afford to be training children for an economy in our schools that no longer exists. If this is the new economy, we need to be the best at it so that our young people and our communities can be the beneficiaries of it. I don't make any apologies about that. But what if I were running and the interest was against me or even for me, and my message was inconsistent with all of the stuff that's coming into the district, and I have to change my message to ride the wave of whatever that creates? I mean, I just can't wrap my mind around, as independent as my thinking is, that you're going to tell me what my constituents have been telling me in town hall meetings for the last 9 months about what they're concerned about. But then they turn around and say, I see your commercials. I see your commercials. I see your commercials. And I'm like, well, some of these commercials are about what I'm about.
Right.
Some of this activity is about what I'm about, but, I'm growing hoarse in my voice talking to my constituents, especially if you're unable to raise the money to communicate the message yourself. And I don't care how much money you think you can raise. You simply can't compete with these interests that come in at the less level. I met some amazing people in this process, in this campaign, some of whom, are not faring very well polling wise in the campaign. It does not mean that their voices should be diminished, however. I mean, they contributed in forums, valuable information and critical information that I learned from. They borrow from me, and I change my position a little bit and borrow from them because we're all neighbors and we're all from the same community and from the same space, essentially. So we essentially see the same thing, even though we may approach it differently. But, who are these people who helicopter in and, just throw everything at broadcast, and you're like, wow. I mean, sometimes you don't recognize yourself.
Right.
Diallo.
It's a tough situation, Jesse. And I feel your pain, and I feel the pain of all of those that are running for office that have to beat that back. And also the impact that it has beyond even this election for campaigns, because folks are saying that, why should I run for office if I have to deal with all of this, right? That's also the residual impact. And that's why I said it's not even the candidate's responsibility. I think for those of us that do grassroots organizing, those of us that do the work around nonpartisan civic engagement, that are not necessarily working for a particular campaign, but are trying to mobilize communities, we have to do a better job educating communities about where these messages are coming from. and aligning around strategies to make sure that communities are getting the right information, the right platforms of each of the candidates that are participating in this election, in these elections going forward. And it's a lot of work that needs to be done. Uphill battle.
No doubt about it. From selling lemonade in the 3rd grade to having a bake sale, to selling cookies, to cutting grass or whatever it is, to, try and encourage your classmates to vote for you, your first real teeth cutter into the idea of democracy. Man, that day is over. And so welcome to the Modern Campaign. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward on KBLA.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Breathe easier with the South Coast Air Quality Management District mobile app. Get real-time air quality updates, forecasts, and alerts when air quality is poor right on your phone. It's free and easy to use. Just search South Coast AQMD and download today. What's your air quality?
Oh my God! Injured in an accident? Insurance not paying what you deserve? The Law Office of Hamlin will get you paid. Call 424-266-9175. That's 424-266-9175. The Law Office of Hamlin, your legal vibe for the culture.
You've probably heard all those ads for life insurance. Just a few dollars a day, apply online in minutes, no medical exam. Simple, easy, and cheap, right? Now you're thinking, maybe I should get a quote. Well, smart thinking. Everyone should have life insurance. But here's what they don't tell you. Those few dollars a day rates, they're for young people in perfect health. That's why everyone calls Big Lou the 50 to 60-year-old not-so-perfect candidate. Like you. You take prescription meds and you're overweight. Winner, fried chicken dinner. Well, Big Lou works with life insurance companies that want people like you with no surprises after you apply. In fact, if you're a 50-year-old guy with a few health glitches, Lou could probably find you $1 million of term life coverage for about $200 a month. So yeah, you need life insurance. But unless you're young and healthy, you got to call Big Lou because he's like you, older, heavier, and on meds too. Get a quote right now at 800-529-2856, 800-529-2856, or biglou.com.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 joins you in standing for voting rights. The midterm election campaign season is here now. The 2028 presidential election is right around the corner. When We All Vote is a leading national nonpartisan initiative on a mission to change the culture around voting and to increase participation in each and every election by helping to close the race and age gap. Created by Michelle Obama, When We All Vote brings together individuals, institutions, brands, and organizations to register new voters across the country and advance civic education for the entire family and voters of every age to build an informed and engaged electorate for today and generations to come. When We All Vote empowers their supporters and volunteers to take action through voting, advocating for their rights, and holding their elected officials accountable. It's all in for 2026 and 2028. Please visit whenweallvote.org to stand up for your rights, voting rights. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Michael's Daughter Foundation is dedicated to inspiring youth and resilience through storytelling, arts, filmmaking, and enrichment programs for youth and families in under-resourced communities and system-impacted individuals. The Michael's Daughter Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit providing free and low-cost arts programs to youth and families from under-resourced communities, both system-impacted youth and those affected by the incarceration of a loved one. 1 in 43 children in America have a parent incarcerated. 70% of those children are expected to end up in prison. Through filmmaking, animation, theater, and writing, they help young people express themselves, build confidence, and imagine new possibilities. Beyond the arts, they offer financial literacy workshops, emergency support, and scholarships. Because thriving takes more than talent, it takes access. To learn more about the impact of Michael Daughters Foundation and how you can be a part of the movement, please visit their website, michaelsdaughterfoundation.com.
This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
He's the son of a school teacher and Navy veteran who built a company worth billions and walked away from it. Tom Steyer, pledging to give away half of everything he earned to charity and fight for Californians. So when out-of-state corporations weren't paying their fair share of taxes, Tom Steyer led the fight for Prop 39 and won, earning California billions of dollars for our schools. Tom took on big oil to stop them polluting our air and water and smash them. Tom fought for free school lunches so no child goes hungry. Tom Steyer, strong enough to take on the special interests crushing us with the cost of living. As governor, Tom will stop Wall Street from buying up middle-class homes, lower utility rates by 25%, and ban corporate PAC money from our politics. Other politicians talk. Tom Steyer gets it done. Ad paid for by Steyer for Governor 2026.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 15.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. It's Fat Meat Fridays on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show, and our regular contributor, Diallo Brooks, is our special guest. Diallo, welcome forward to the show.
Thank you, Jesse.
Diallo, I was talking to my brother, Congressman Jonathan Jackson, the other day, and he said, you know what, Jesse, if I had to spend all of my time raising money, I wouldn't be able to think. And the demands of the job are somewhere now between voting and raising money all day long. I mean, that's not conscionable. That's what the idea of being a representative has become. So, I mean, I can tell you at the outset that I got to be able to think, man. My mind requires that I let it go, man. I can't sit around all day hustling for dollars and dialing for dollars. That's crazy. And it, I think, profoundly impacts the quality of the representation that we get in Washington and our state legislatures around the country. Diallo, is that your sense of what's going on here?
Yeah, there's definitely been a devolution of that as well. And, also even, a congressional term is not that long. And so it's always this constant getting ready to run again process that exists. And, you couple that with the deep need to raise money. It really is a testament about really getting a hold of our campaign finance system across the board, not just for the individual candidates, but also putting some stipulations on the outside money as well, as we were talking about before. I think we have to really take seriously those concerns that you elevate and really do the work necessary to really make a change in our system, because it's not sustainable. It's not good for our democracy. I know you as a thinker. If I ever describe you to folks, it's like he's a very deep thinker and spends a lot of time really breaking down the nuances of our systems, of our government, how things should work and not work. And when you take that away, you take away the best and brightest from being able to really have an impact and really think strategically about how our government, how our system should work to benefit the people that we all serve. And so we need to get a hold of that. Campaign finance reform is long overdue. And we have to push the pedal to the metal on that.
Diallo, I am a little more pessimistic about, how that system will transform itself, because it seems that the self-interest of our representatives, our senators, are driven now increasingly by access to these interests. Is there a way for these representatives to insulate themselves so that their message and concerns for their constituents come first?
I don't know if I have a silver bullet answer to that question. I think that there has to be a level of stepping into the gap around that. There's going to have to be folks that are willing to really sacrifice as far as their messaging around that and their relationship with community around that work. And I think that, individually, even on the state and local level, setting up systems, campaign finance systems that free those that are running for office from that. And I think also it has to be an elevation from the people. As constituents of those that represent us, we have to dictate the systems. We have to dictate the expectations around those systems. It requires us to be educated around what those systems are. We cannot have apathy like we've had in the past. This is not a time for anybody to sit on the sidelines. We have to understand our politics. We have to understand the systems that are governing us, and we have to articulate our voice in that process. If not, the system takes over. Those that have the resources and the power will make all of the decisions, and our democracy as we know it will not exist.
Diallo, we have time for two things. One, how can we support your work?
Oh, well, if folks are interested, there's two places to support my work. It's www.civicvisionstrategies, all one word, .com. You can learn more about the work that I'm doing and bring me in to support some of the work that folks are doing on the ground in communities. And also just wrote a book, my first book, and the second one is on the way. It's called Bold Quiet Warrior, and you can go to www.boldquietwarrior.com to learn more about the book, or Amazon or Apple Books or any other places that books are sold. You can find the book, and it's really about leadership development, focused on building around social justice. And it talks a lot about legacy as well, my own family legacy, of those that have worked for social justice and civil rights throughout this history.
Congratulations on your new publication, your new work, and we encourage our listeners to follow Diallo Brooks and get all of the information you can about his brilliance and what he does. Diallo, we have about 2.5 minutes for a word of hope.
So I will always lean into the word of hope because that's how I'm oriented. I've been around a lot of folks that have talked about hope. And so I cannot shy away from the message of hope. And no matter how difficult times are, I know that those that have come before us have really stood in the face of violence and very, very difficult moments and have pushed us forward. And it's our responsibility to do the same. And I believe that if we organize, if we come together, if we strategize, we help share information with each other, we can overcome some of the obstacles that we see that are right in our face. Sometimes in the moment, it sounds very difficult because we're in the heat of the battle, but just know through our persistence, our love and support for one another, and leaning on our own ancestors and the history, we can create the change we want to see.
I'm particularly motivated by that message that if you want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and make that change.
Yes,
we can build a world that we want to see, and sometimes that begins with each and every one of us. Diallo, thank you very much for participating in the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on Fat Meat Fridays.
Thank you, and God bless you.
You know, you're always welcome on our show, and I'm so grateful for your leadership in that education and strategic advice space. More on KBLA Talk 1580, Fat Meat Fridays with Gina Towns and Dr. Kisha McCaskill, Cook County Commissioner, when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Esther Dillard with BIN News Now. New York City's state lawmakers are holding on to the idea of some sort of free buses in New York City, but not as Mayor Zohran Mamdani imagined. New York State Democrats put forth a budget that includes offering at least one free bus in each borough. That has some people doubting if they'll ever see an entirely free bus system.
Money makes the world go round, so if the bus ain't getting paid, who gonna pay the people to drive it?
I don't think we're going to have free MTA buses because they have to support the subway.
According to the New York City Comptroller's Office, about 75% of commuters are people of color. Black Illinois legislator Cam Buckner is proposing a bill that will name a stretch of Chicago's Dan Ryan Expressway after the late civil rights leader, Reverend Jesse Jackson. And Eminem is paying tribute to Lord Sear, a black DJ and hip-hop radio personality who passed away earlier this week. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Clippers are at home tonight against Chicago. A win puts the Clippers 2 games above 500 for the first time this season. The Lakers are at home Saturday night against Denver. The Lakers are only a half game ahead of the Nuggets for third place in the Western Conference. Just in case you were wondering, Kawhi Leonard's streak of 43 consecutive games with 20 or more points is not an NBA record. Oklahoma City star Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has the record with 127 straight games of 20 or more. Shai Gilgeous passed Wilt Chamberlain Thursday night to claim the record. Tonight at 6, it's time for your Friday night sports fix. Out of bounds in prime time. Join me and my co-host Neil Scarborough for 60 minutes of sports chatter with some black folks flavor. You're welcome to hang out with us on the KBLA YouTube channel or hit us up at 1-800-920-1580. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
They say time flies when you're having fun. The founding members cohort is now officially over. Hard to believe. It's been a joy sharing what I've discovered after nearly 40 years of conversations with presidents, cultural icons, and game changers in every field of human endeavor. If you missed the first cohort, the good news is that we're already planning the next one. Now, the seats will be limited, and those on our waiting list will receive exclusive early access and special discounts not available to the general public. So, if you are ready to transform the way you connect, lead, and build trust, do not hesitate. Go to TavishTalks.com and join the waiting list today. That's TavishTalks.com. The next cohort is coming. Make sure you are in the room. I'm Tavish Smiley, and I hope to see you there.
Jackson Jr. Show. Oh, 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 the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Oh, 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 the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Oh, 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 the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Oh, oh, come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA. Talk 1580, download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Hey, it's Fat Meat Fridays on our show. Oh, I wish I could play Johnny Cook right now, or thank God it's Friday. What a week we've had. You know, welcome forward to Fat Meat Fridays, your creation. Gina, you're not going to say anything.
I have to pull my mic up and put my camera on, Jesse.
All right. Well, welcome forward to the show.
That is one of those dilemmas about doing all that we do on this side of the mic, but we appreciate what you do, and I'm excited about our guest in this hour.
Dr. Kisha McCaskill is a proponent for education. She holds doctorate degrees in public administration and organizational leadership from Capella University, a master's degree in Human Service Administration, specializing in public policy from Spertus Jewish Institute, and bachelor's degrees in psychology and sociology from Western Illinois University with a minor in African American studies. Dr. Kisha McCaskill holds certifications in business administration from the University of Illinois in Champaign-Urbana, paralegal studies from DePaul University, and conflict resolution and mediation from the Northern Illinois University. Dr. McCaskill is also a certified Illinois assessment officer, CIAO, recognized by Illinois Department of Revenue, and she just turned 21 years old. Hi, Doc. How are you with these amazing accomplishments? Hi, how you put it all in? I don't know, but I'm glad to have you on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thank you so much for having me. And let me start by first giving you again my condolences on the loss of your father, and my love and prayers to your mother.
I sure appreciate that, Dr. McCaskill. I have never seen a candidate running for public office quite like Dr. McCaskill. I have seen unbound energy, and it is only surpassed by unbound commitment to deliver for the constituents that she represents. She is widely supported by people across her community and across the south suburbs in the city of Chicago and beyond. And if there ever were a lesson for Democrats on how to run a campaign right, it would be the campaign of Dr. Kisha McCaskill. Dr. McCaskill, let me ask you a question. Sure. What are you hearing are the core issues of concern to people at the grassroots level in this country?
You know, I'm finding that regardless of economics or socioeconomic statuses, everyone has the same concern. People are concerned about health care. That is a number one issue. In the Southland, and when I say Southland, I'm stretching all three districts that are here, but the economic development, the healthcare, the lack of employment opportunities, specifically in certain areas. And then there's also such a big issue with regard to infrastructure. So many of our cities are they're just absent. But what I will say, to be optimistic, while all of these are issues that span across all of the communities, the county has been doing a great job with regard to identifying what the issues are and putting real policies and resolutions in place to address them immediately.
Dr. McCaskill, is it your sense that the federal government is now shirking its responsibilities in light of all that's taking place in Washington? Because obviously county government needs the assistance of the federal government and state government in order to function efficiently for everyone.
Absolutely. I really want people to pay attention to how the impact is going to be a domino effect. So while people may think it only impacts one area, it impacts us all globally and regionally. The best example I can give is with regard to SNAP benefits. Just for example, the federal government cut SNAP, and yes, that's going to impact the family's food storage. However, it's also going to impact that grocery store. And in Black communities, underserved communities, it's going to impact the corner store where groceries are sold. It's going to impact how children show up to school because they're now hungry. It's cyclical, and it's much larger than just they're cutting benefits. And I believe that in some instances, people are only looking at the surface, but it's much deeper.
Gina?
Dr. McCaskill, I'm so excited to have you on today, and thank you for coming, because not only is it Women's Month, it is election time around the country. And when I think about you, you stand out, and for a number of reasons. If I had to say, how would I describe Dr. McCaskill? She's the Harriet Tubman who rescued people. She is the Mae Jemison who wanted to take us to another level. She is probably a Stacey Abrams who comes up with innovative ways to keep people inspired and bring them into the process. And she's like Bessie Coleman, who was a pilot. You have the vision to make an economic plan, to see it through. Words that are attached to you are things like innovative and pioneer. In the things that you've done with innovative programming. And so when I think about you, tell me what has motivated you towards public service throughout your life.
You know,